Hey, what's up? This is Tony Campos, bass player for Soulfly. You're watching Urban Melody TV.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm your host, Saul Maldonado with Urban Melody TV, and today my guest is the bass player, very talented band member, and if there's anyone that can make you take out your frustration through music, I can definitely say this talented individual is the one. Tony Campos,
My moments.
Static X. You've been with Possessed and different bands.
Possessed, do the list, man.
Right.
Ministry, Prong, Possessed. Like I even have a hard time keeping track sometimes. I play with Soulfly right now.
There you go. So let's go back as far as music. Being that reading your bio, you grew up in this area, and I kind of know this area as well. And rock back in the days wasn't the thing that we listened to. It's more the funk and the oldies.
Yeah. Well, my best friend growing up when I was a kid, he was a gang member. I used to live over off of Wilcox and Clare Street, maybe in Elizabeth Street, out in Cudahy, which is like neighborhood down the street a bit. And he was a gang member in I think it was the Clare Street gang. I forget the name, but yeah, he would listen to when he was hanging out with his homies. He would listen to oldies, Zap music and stuff like that, But when we'd come hang out with me, we'd throw on metal stuff like Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, stuff like that, And he was actually the guy that got me to start playing bass.
Really?
Yeah, because he played guitar.
Okay.
And this was like when I was 13, and he moved out of the neighborhood for a while, and then when I was in junior high, he moved back in the neighborhood, and he was all metalhead, he still gangbanged, but he was like the metalhead gangbanger, and so he played guitar. I was like, hey Tony, get a bass, so I ended up one vacation from school, I worked at my dad's garment factory where he worked at, and I saved up enough and bought a bass, so then I get the bass. I'm like, all right, dude, I got the bass. Let's jam. He's like, oh, I already found a bass player. So yeah, so I just ended up just jamming to records and stuff, and that's how I learned. That's how I learned how to play bass, and
now
I just stuck with it.
As far as metal music and stuff like that, I've listened to it. I'll listen to it. It's not something that I look into what's the name of the band or what's the name of the song. I'll just rock to it and enjoy it.
Right.
But after doing research on the bands that you've played with, you guys are pretty mainstream out there. Growing up in this environment, what does that mean to you to be on big stages like that? When you picked up the bass, were you like, what, that's where I'm going to be one day?
Well, I didn't even think about it that way, man. It's just like I knew it was something I'd be doing for the rest of my life. I just never thought I'd be doing it for a living, I thought it was just something, I do on weekends and shit, and hang out with friends, and that's what it was for me, and, back in the, late 90s, things started happening for the band, and, I was going to school, and, I first went to college to try and get a degree in computer science. After about 3 years, I ran out of money. They kept raising my tuition to come my financial aid, so I got to the point I couldn't afford it anymore. So then I worked full time for a year or two. Then I went back to school, went to LA Trade Tech, tried to get my degree in drafting, because I like drafting in high school. So after about a year, they tell me they're canceling the drafting program.
Man,
so they're like, well, you can change your major, start all over again, or you can go to another school. And I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with my life? And then things started happening for the band. I was like, well, let's see where this goes, And 14 years later, here I am, and I'm still playing music for, making a living at it, Yeah, hey man, I've been lucky. I've been very, very fortunate to still, to this day, still be able to, you know, do what I love and get paid enough to, you know, pay the mortgage on this place and, you know, feed all these animals running around, you know.
Yeah, so, just gotta take
these animals. You know, so and you know, this house right here, this used to be my parents' house. I took it over from them, refinanced, and then got them a place in Pasadena. So they're all taken care of. They don't have to worry about paying rent, mortgage. You know, they just gotta, you know, worry about their medications. You know,
right.
So they're all taken care of, and that was the main thing I wanted to do. You know, when I, you know, got some success, you know, was to take care of my mom and dad, because, you know, they took care of my dumb ass longer than they had to, you know. So, you know, like some parents, oh, you're 18? But now, you know, so like they're all taken care of, and, you know, now I just gotta worry about paying this place off. But you know, thankfully, you know, knock on wood, man, I'm still doing what I love and making a living at it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I did some research, and I was like, man, these guys have been on pretty big stages and all, and so being from this environment, you know, I actually grew up not too far from here. You know, back when I was in middle school, and I know this is gonna break my mom's heart when she watches this, you know, but we used to ditch and go to Pacific.
Yeah.
And back in the days, you know, it wasn't picking up bad habits or you know, hanging out with the wrong crowd was easy. You know, what kept you from picking up, let's say, a gun versus a bass?
Just I fell in love with metal, man. Like from that day when I first started playing bass and started, you know, playing music, I fell in love with it, you know, and you know, while my gangbanger friend, you know, he's like out banging, you know, I'm like, oh, all right, man, well, I'm gonna sit here and play to my records, man, you know, and that's just what I did, you know.
Yeah.
It was just, I fell in love with it, and you know, and I still have that love for it, you know.
And you know what? I mean, when it comes to rock and metal and all that, you know, it has its stereotypes as well. You know, did your parents ever say, hey, like, oh man, this guy's a rocker, he's probably doing drugs and, you know, all this and that, you know, the life of a rocker?
Yeah, I mean, you know, my parents didn't really give me a whole lot of grief for that, you know, like my mom, she's like really hardcore Catholic, you know. So once I brought home like Slayer records, you know, with like demons and stuff, like this tattoo right here is a cover from one of my favorite Slayer songs, and it's like demons, you know, ripping up souls and stuff, you know. So like I remember when I was like 13, 14, I brought that record home. And she's like, ay, no, ¿qué es esto? It was just blessing me and all this crazy stuff. You know? And she still does that stuff, you know. But you know, now that, you know, she's seeing, you know, that you know, I turned out okay. You know? Right. You know, it wasn't all bad, you know. So
you bought that house.
Yeah,
like, it's okay.
Right.
Go ahead, bring any record you want.
Right. Yeah. Get more tattoos. It's okay. You know?
Right. That's cool, man. Now, I know we had to catch you at early January because you're going on tour, right?
Yeah.
Who are you going on tour with?
I'll be out on tour again with Soulfly. Been playing with them for like a little over 2 years now, and then it's turned into a really solid, steady gig for me. And you know, they love working as much as I do. You know, so we're constantly out on tour throughout the 8-10 months out of the year. We're out on tour, and you know, it's really cool for me as a fan to get to play with you know, one of my heroes, you know, one of the guys I grew up listening to, Max Cavalera. Okay. You know, the stuff he did in Sepultura, you know, particularly you know, Beneath the Remains, that was like a huge record for me in high school, you know. So, you know, to get to be on stage and you know, sing songs with him and you know, get to play some of my favorite Sepultura songs with him, you know, it's a really fun gig. And you know, I've been really lucky that, you know, ever since my old band fell apart and I had to like look for other gigs, you know, I've been really lucky that most of the gigs that I've gotten were with bands and people that I grew up listening to, you know, like heroes of mine, you know. Yeah. So yeah, you know, Ministry, it was a huge influence on my first band, you know. Prong was a big influence for us. Possessed, or like, they were like the first death metal band. I mean, they coined the phrase death metal, so like, and I kind of like, I was fortunate enough to like grow up with the whole death metal scene too, see it go from its beginnings with Possessed to where it is now, and to get to actually play bass for Jeff Becerra, it's a big honor, It's just like, with getting to play with all my other heroes,
Now, when it comes to metal music, it's heavy music, the vocals, the lyrics, they're hardcore. You get to express yourself a lot. Anyone that's listening to it can also physically like feel it. You were faced with certain challenges because, like you said, finances were low, your class was terminated. So you had the choice of either kind of victimizing yourself like, oh, great, now I'm going to, I don't have choices in life, but yet at the same time, you had this talent, Were you faced with that where you were like, you know what, I can easily just throw my life away, or you know what, this is a talent I have, I'm going to try to make the best of it?
Well, I mean, like I said, music was something I thought I'd never do for a living. It's like the chances of your band getting signed, just to get signed, are slim to none. And then from there to actually, grow and build a fan base, and have some success is another long shot. So, that was the last thing I ever thought I did. And I would have, like, if things hadn't happened for the band, I would still be playing. I just wouldn't do it for a living, but I don't think I would have just sat around and like, oh man, what am I gonna do now? Boo-hoo-hoo, I'm not like that, I'm like,
go join your cholo friends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was like, nah, I'd seen many of those guys, go to jail or end up junkies. Right. Like my friend that got me to start playing bass. He ended up being a junkie, stole from me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that is definitely the last thing I wanted to be. So I would have done something else. I wouldn't have like you can either sit around and feel sorry for yourself, or you can go out there and bust ass and try and improve your situation, and that's just, that's just kind of the work ethic that my parents instilled in me. Just go bust ass and do something, man.
Now, being that you play with different bands, how can your fans get a hold of you or know when you're going on tour and where you guys are going to play?
I communicate with Facebook. When I get a tour coming up and I'm out on tour, I'll post stuff on there. Like when I'm home, it's like, I'm at home, I'm like playing Bob Vila. I'm like fixing the place, I just spent the last month redoing one of my bathrooms, I gave myself a big nasty cut right there. But I haven't posted anything because, like, I thought the fans are gonna want to know, hey, so I went with this color for the bathroom, so, it's like whatever, who cares, But I'll be going out on tour soon, and I'll get back out on there on the Facebook, and
let the fans know.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean. If you have any of the dates, you can definitely send them to me, and I'll link them up on our website, which is urbanmelodyproductions.com. We'll post the dates where you guys going to be performing and all that, So
cool. I'll get you that.
I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, I grew up not too far from here. The choices that we had were pretty limited back then. Well, I mean, we're always we have a lot of choices, but when you live in a certain area where
it's easy to go one way,
exactly.
Exactly. And if I hadn't discovered music, I could have easily went that way too,
Yeah.
And it's I got lucky, man. That caught me instead of that other the gangbanger lifestyle.
Right.
Well, that and I was afraid of my dad, so he killed me.
Right. So being that metal music and all that has the stereotypes, man. I want to take this opportunity for you to send positive message to the youth.
Yeah, you know what really, I guess what caught me about metal is, you know, it can be like really angry and really aggressive, you know, and that was the stuff I gravitated towards, the heavier, the faster, the angrier, the better, you know. And I mean, I guess as a kid, I had a lot of frustrations, you know, and that was the way I let out all my frustrations,
Right.
you know, just going nuts, you know, playing fast and, you know, roaring the praises of Satan, you know, and whatever, you know, and you know, that's what, you know, made it special for me, you know, and that's why I loved it, because I could take out my aggressions, you know, in a positive way, you know, and not you know, go out there and like shoot people, you know. So, you know, and I think out of any other form of music out there right now, you know, like I think metal does that the best, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I love music, and that's why I do what I do. I interview a lot of different, you know, music artists and everything. What I notice when it comes to music, regardless of whether it's oldies, rap, country, pop, or metal, it's all about expression. Some metal songs could be about love, frustration towards, you know, your ex, your current situation, and it's just the lyrics can be the same. It's just the music that makes it sound different. You know,
Yeah.
So you know,
That's true.
and quite honestly, I think me personally, that's the best way that sometimes I communicate. You know, because you can dedicate a nice song to someone, let them know how you feel, whether it's in a good way or
Right.
you know. I think pretty soon I'll probably be dedicating one of your songs to somebody, though. So, Tony, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. I wish you luck in your tour you're going on right now.